The Jimmy Butler honeymoon in Golden State has officially ended after only a few sweet months. Reports have surfaced of him calling out the Warriors front office for their behavior in the Jonathan Kuminga situation. Jimmy is officially the man who cried wolf. Actually, scratch that. Every team who signed him thinking things would be different, they are the ones who cried wolf. But this is exactly what makes Jimmy Butler the NBA's biggest supervillain. NBA teams aren't stupid.
Pause.
Okay, fine. NBA teams don't just hand out multiple $100 million contracts, especially to guys with known character issues. It's because, make no mistake about it, when Jimmy Butler plays, he is one of the greatest to ever do it. But like any other great temperamental artist, the moment Jimmy gets the ick, he abandons his masterpiece midway. He walks away with a massive bag of cash and leaves a nuclear fallout behind him. And unfortunately for Warriors fans, given where Steph is at in his career, this is the absolute last thing your team needs. Before we dive right in, as a die-hard Miami Heat fan since 2003, I just want to say one thing. Thank you, Jimmy. You gave us your all. I think the way we ended was messed up and both sides gotta take a lot of blame. But hot damn, Jimmy, you gave us some of the greatest times. In that vein, let's talk about a little stat called VORP, value over replacement player. It's the advanced metric that measures how much better you are than an average replacement level player. Actually, this is the best and most comprehensive statistic for measuring an overall player's value and of efficacy. And Jimmy Butler's career VORP, 50.4. That puts him 39th in NBA history. Like, of all players. So then you narrow it down to his position as a forward and a small forward. Jimmy Butler is a top 5 forward of all time. And this is what makes supervillains dangerous. They're not just talk, they're powerful, they're undeniable. Despite the drama, Butler has earned 3 max contracts, the latest from Golden State. Because again, when Jimmy plays, he is objectively one of the best to ever do it. And as soon as he got to Golden State, the Jimmy Butler effect was in full force. Golden State was absolutely killing it. But here's the point. When Jimmy plays, he's one of the best. The catch, when he plays, is no longer anywhere near guaranteed. And that's exactly what happened like clockwork again. Jimmy got injured. His team lost in the playoffs, and now the cracks are already showing in Golden State. Jonathan Kuminga has been one of their brightest young stars, but behind the scenes, he's been frustrated. Frustrated with his role, his minutes, and the front office's handling of his development. So when Butler sees that, he doesn't bite his tongue. And here's the irony. Guess who suffered the most from him coming? Jonathan Kuminga. So what happens next? If the Warriors stay healthy and can somehow convince Kuminga to stay, Butler's intensity and leadership could push them back into title contention, which is the whole point of him being here, because Steph Curry maximum has 3 good years left. But unfortunately for Warriors fans, history tells us something different. This is absolutely nothing new. And to understand why Jimmy Butler is the NBA's resident supervillain, you have to go back to the origin story, because every supervillain has one. Coming from an extraordinarily tough childhood in Tomball, Texas, Jimmy Butler beat all the odds to be drafted 30th overall in Chicago. But even then, he was never supposed to be a star. But Jimmy fought, clawed, and outworked everyone. He demanded more touches, more money, more respect, until eventually the Bulls front office had had enough. When it ended, Jimmy walked away with his first big bag, but left Chicago broken. But at this time, it was like, bruh, it was the Bulls, so whatever. So when he got to Minnesota, there was a lot of pomp and circumstance. And with Jimmy, the Wolves made it back to the playoffs for the first time in like 50,000 years. He actually made this team relevant again. But as usual, he got injured and started getting really frustrated with young stars Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins, because they didn't share the same work ethic as him. They didn't have the same tough path. They were both #1 draft picks who walked in with all the touches and all the money. And understandably, that pissed Jimmy off. But the way he went about it was not ideal. His Minnesota practice debacle has gone down as one of the most infamous practice outbursts in history.
You throw at the cat first play, Jimmy steal it. Go down, score, they go down, score. Like, come on, cat, post his little ass up, man, he can't guard you, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy like, he trash. Jimmy start talking to the GM, everybody in the gym. Y'all better mother effing pay me. I'm like that. I'm like, he is nuts.
The NBA forgave him because it was like Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins did have a lot of question marks around him. So yet again, he got a pass and was traded to the Sixers. Philly was supposed to be different, and this will go down as one of the most confusing junctures in Jimmy Butler's career. With Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, Butler had a team good enough to win the East, but the Sixers wanted some weird harmony. Jimmy wanted accountability, and yet again, the locker room was fractured and Butler was gone. Despite him being an absolute dog for the Sixers, to this day, Joel Embiid laments that they traded Jimmy Butler because he was that missing piece. And on both sides, actually, this was an awesome marriage because Philly desperately needed a guy like Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler really needed a team like Philly where he would be the unquestioned guy in the clutch moments. But again, the personalities didn't clash. And so, yet again, he was out, but this time signed with the team which everybody thought would be the perfect marriage, the Miami Heat. And when Jimmy first came, we had our questions, but as quick as you like, Jimmy Butler endeared himself to us. For once, the villain wasn't tearing a team down, he was lifting one up. The Heat bought into his madness because we already shared the same foundational psychotic work ethic. His 4 a.m. workouts, his coffee empire, his win or die mentality. It was like music to our ears. We thought we had the perfect guy to take the torch in the Dwayne Wade era. And to be truthful, he pretty much did. Yes, he didn't win us a title, but he rewarded our fans, us, with finals runs that nobody thought were possible. And unlike the dopamine addicted 19-year-old NBA fans that are out there, finals runs mean something. Sorry. And it's not only just finals runs, it's how you get to the finals. Both times Miami made it to the finals, we were such critical underdogs that we had no business being there. So you can chastise us or Jimmy or whatever for not winning a title in that period, but in truth, we had no business being in the finals, and that was because of Jimmy Butler. But again, unfortunately, even with Miami, one of the most rough and tumble teams out there, the most no-nonsense team, somehow again, Jimmy and Miami found a way to get toxic with each other. And again, I'm going to emphasize, this was horrible on both sides. But in this case, it was like specifically Jimmy and Pat Riley are so similar and stubborn that neither one of them was going to move off their position, despite both of them knowing that they were wrong. And this is one of those situations where every single person participating lost. Most of all, Miami and its fans. And now Golden State has its turn with the great temperamental artist that is Jimmy Butler.